I'm Mitch Aist, Master Ana Planner. In this episode of How I Built It, I'm going to show you how to build a two-step approval process in Anaplan with a corresponding audit trail. Let's get into it. If you clicked on this video, then you probably already know what an approval process is and why you would need one in Anaplan. But just to quickly give you my own definition, an approval process gives information to users and drives model functionality about the completeness of a business process or data batch. For example, in a financial forecast, the data batch of the financial forecast, once it's completed, the approval process guides the user to their next action or decision and can do things in the model like lock dynamic cell access from the input modules and stage the data for a snapshot or data archive. Here are our user stories that we're going to be using for this example. I came up with ones that were pretty generic, and approval processes may be as diverse as, any Anaplan implementation. For simplicity, we're only using one level of the hierarchy. You may see approvals and rejections across multiple levels of the hierarchy. We are going to have two roles do actions here in our process. You may see more than that. So if you have other thoughts or a different way to do it or questions, please go ahead and leave them in the comments and we'd be happy to talk to you about it. So let's read these here. The approval process user stories. Number one, as an analyst, I need to submit a given country's monthly forecast with optional comments. Okay, pretty straightforward. We've got the role defined, we've got the dimension defined, and this could possibly be an action that we've identified here. Second one, as a manager, I need to view which countries have been submitted and then either approve or reject the submission. Rejecting requires a comment from the manager. Okay. User story number three. Each step in the approval process generates a record of the action, submit, approve, reject, including the country, the status, the time period, and comments. I would call this the audit trail, or, there's all sorts of names for it, but I call it the audit trail. We're going to show you how to build that today too. Let's go over here to the model schema, and I've tried to correspond these with the user stories and the color code. So G2 country is going to be our dimension for our analyst submitting module, and they can submit, they can put in some comments. After they've input their information about their country, they can then click the button submit for approval. I've identified the role here, the analyst role, and then we can see a couple of arrows. This one goes down to the next process immediately, and this one goes down to step 3 to create that. Okay. Step 2, the manager can then see these countries which have been submitted or the status of each country, and they have the decision. Do they want to approve? Do they want to reject? So then we've indicated the manager will click approve or reject once their inputs have been staged up. And that, of course, creates a record here in the audit trail every single time and just collects that information every process over time. All right, that's our review of the user stories. Let's get into the model build.
All right, here we are in the model. First, I'm going to show you how this works from the user's perspective, and then I will open up Blueprint mode, show you how it all works from the model build perspective. So you can see we've got our input module for the analyst to submit the process, just like we have in our mockup. Let's go ahead and stage up some data. We'll add a comment. These are optional for the analyst to submit. And before we run the action, we do have an action we're going to run according to our mockup as well. We can see the manager's user experience here, which shows us the analyst's comments. We will be able to approve, reject, add a comment of our own. We also need to see the status. And here is our empty so far audit trail. which has a handful of line items, which we will get into here in a second as well. So with our data staged up, let's go ahead and, as if we were the analyst, run our action. Okay, let's check it out. Our job as the analyst so far is done. All the cells are locked. The status is submitted. Now the manager has a job to do. They can approve or reject. Let's just do a little bit of everything here. Show you comments and everything. And as well, now that we've staged up our data and before we run our manager action, let's go show you that the audit trail did indeed work here. We can see that for this period, apparently it's November of 2021 in this model, we have submitted the batch for the US, we've submitted the batch for Canada, Mexico, and Brazil, and it's captured all of our respective comments. So we are ready now to approve these and reject these. Then we will move our approved countries into that status as well. So let's go ahead and run this. Looks good. And from our user perspective again, we can see we have a little bit more analysis to do, or at least submitting to do. We're going to submit these two countries here. They are in a rejected status. We can see that the two approved countries are in that approved status. So that's great. Nothing to do here either. We are waiting on the analyst to submit it. And here is the audit trail where, again, each of our actions has been captured. We've approved and captured the approval. Any rejections have also been rejected. So let's go resubmit. Let's change our comment here. Okay. We're just going to finish up this process. We can be kind of quick about it. Let's go ahead and approve our two countries here. Oh, no, we want to approve. Okay, let's see what it looks like at the end here. For some companies, we've submitted and rejected and submitted again and approved. Some of them went straight to the approval. But the point is, every step of this process has been captured here in the audit trail module. So that concludes the user demo. Let's now reset our process. I'm sure some of you can figure out how to do this on your own. We don't have time to cover this reset process, unfortunately, today. But here it is. It's all reset. We saw how this functionality works for the user process or user perspective. Now let's check out the model backend. This is, of course, the L1 model building model that you did for your first ever Anaplan certification. So you should have this country list available if you want to follow along here. But anyway, we've also got the status list, approval status we've created, which just has our 4 statuses: open, submitted, rejected, and approved. We've got those lists. We've got then each action, right? Or process rather. So in here, I want to talk about how the status works with respect to each of these. The analysts submit, as well as the manager reject and manager approve. All those are doing basically is taking this user clickable column or line item and loading it behind the scenes to a line item that's identical to it. Just it's the result of an action now when this is checked. And the same thing up here, or same thing with the manager. We've got approve and reject. The actions which correspond to approve countries and reject country, those are loading the corresponding approved and rejected Boolean cells behind the scenes. And so when we calculate the status, all it's checking is starting from the furthest approved. If it's approved, then give me approval status dot approved. I need to mention as well, the approval status list is a structural list. So you can, in fact, hard reference line or list items here in your formulas. It's an open status. So this is just a quick way to write your status tracker formula corresponding to the line items that get loaded by your actions. The second thing I wanted to dive into here is the count actions. So we should by now, if you're watching this, I'm expecting you probably know how to load lists, load modules, like here, staging up for the audit trail list and audit trail module. But I want to talk about the counter and how the counter allows us to load unique list items here in the audit trail. The counter is a really great tool to do things like this. Count how many times something happens in your process. And all we do is take these two line items here. We have an empty cell called count that's number formatted, and then a formula-driven cell that is just count plus 1. And every time you run the action, a saved view filter here. I don't know if we'll have anything in here, but the counter or the count saved view just has count plus 1 and loads to count. So if we, check out any of these, for example, our line item is going from count plus 1 to count. So it's just going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just keeps counting and counting and counting and runs as many times as your users click the action. And then that count cell drives this audit trail code. So that will load the audit trail here. And when we load the audit trail, of course, we just look at the user story to know which data we need. We, of course, map to the code. We get the month that's in our current period system module. And looks like we load the status and we load comments. And those are all loaded into the line items here. And to conclude, I know we're probably running close on time here. To kind of wrap up here, I will show you the blueprint mode here, and you can look at what formulas we've done. These are reported from other modules, the status and the comments. This is loaded from an action. This is used to generate the code and map the parent. This is a filter that, of course, drives our submit for approval action, conditional formatting, DCA, clear inputs, counter, and then filter for our actions here as well. Let's review blueprint mode for the approve and reject. A little bit more going on here. You use this to drive DCA throughout your model. When the status is open or when the process is open in a rejected status or submitted status, then users perhaps could enter their budgets or something. Here we have our action filters, saved view filters, clear data, cells. And then we've got a few complexities here. These will all be probably unique to your use case, your users, and your approval process probably has different things that it opens and closes at different times, but feel free to take a look at this. Audit trail is really straightforward. It's a handful of items that get loaded, and then a handful of system line items. So some things to be careful of as well. Just be careful that you do read and write access correctly with your roles. I haven't set up any roles in here. But I've built this in such a way that the submitter actions only load the submit module so that any write access doesn't overlap and you don't run into problems with the analyst trying to load cells into the manager module, which they should not have access to. So thanks again for watching. Please leave any thoughts and feedback and questions in the comments here, and we will see you next time.